back to The Price of Business. I'm your host, Kevin Price, talking about you and your business. All right, I got our next guest here, Jason Dowd. And Jason, want to welcome you real quickly to the program. And tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, I've been doing photography for years, ever since I could remember I had a camera in my hand. But I started really doing it kind of professionally in 2003. And then in 2009, I started doing some of my own artwork, basically making scenarios, which is a little bit different than just your typical portraits. Okay.
Tell us a little bit, about your perspective of social media and the role smartphones have changed. And I can, I'm in my early 50s. I'm 51, and I can even talk about this. And so it's created a huge paradigm shift, hasn't it?
It really has. I mean, when I first got my first cell phone, it didn't even have a camera in it, and all it did was basically talk to people, which is what they were designed to do. But as they've been growing and expanding to all these super phones that we have a way of taking a picture on the spot, sending it out to social media sites, and so that way all of our family can pretty much see what we're doing right then and there. Then you have things like Instagram, which can actually give you some different filters to make it look like it was professionally done.
Yeah,
but what I really like about the phones and what they've been able and capable of doing is capturing news. I've been seeing a lot of news places that allow you to upload your photos and show these things, so you can actually become a photographer for the news system. You could be a reporting photographer.
Yeah, absolutely. They're trying to encourage people to do that. Of course, that's an industry that is having serious financial problems. And so if they can pay $50 for a photo that they used to pay someone to go after the smoke was no longer at the fire, why wouldn't they want to do that?
Exactly. I mean, we've been having a lot of water spouts and tornadoes and everything down here in Florida. And you wouldn't believe the amount of pictures I've seen come across the Channel 10 News and Facebook and all these other places showing all these water spouts, and they are phenomenally done. And it's just because of the clarity of the photos, the cameras that we have in our photos.
Yeah,
in our camera, yes.
And it's just amazing. I mean, I just looked at my phone last night. I look at my phone all the time. I have a little goddaughter who's 5 months old, and I just started counting all the pictures I've taken of her. And. It's really quite extraordinary, and the quality of the photos are what blows my mind. And it's off of my Galaxy 4 phone. It's not even a camera. I mean, it is a camera, but it's phenomenal what you can do with one of these.
It is. And you know what's really cool about it too is when we were growing up and stuff like that, we didn't have the cameras that you could just put in your pocket. I mean, they were kind of bulky and stuff. And even today, I mean, the professional cameras are bulky. But what I like about the cell phone is they take really good pictures. I mean, you really have to kind of know what you're doing in a lighting system and what your camera is able to do anyways. But you've probably driven by something and said, man, I really wish I had that camera. I could take a picture of that because nobody would believe me. Well, now you can. And it's easy to share. So, it's a way of keeping your friends laughing, and it's a way of keeping people informed of what's going on in your life with your family and also what's going on around you. And like I said, I mean, these cameras are great, but you still kind of have to know some basic stuff like, the lighting system and how far away you are, and you can zoom in on them, but sometimes it gets a little blurry, a little grainy. But, those are things you just have to learn. But that doesn't mean it's not going to take a phenomenal picture. I've actually gone to a art show where these guys, all they use is their camera phone.
Yeah.
They don't use a professional camera. But you would not believe it if you didn't talk to them and see that these are actually photos from their phone, not a real professional camera.
Right. So there's so much going on when it comes to this type of thing that people, the learning curve is not that steep, but at the same time, things are constantly being added. What's the next thing that you see happening when it comes to people and their photos and social media?
I probably would see that they would have like maybe a with like the branding and stuff like that you've been seeing with Facebook. I have a feeling that when you post those pictures, it's going to take where you are and actually put that into the meta tags of those pictures, so people can kind of see what they're doing and what they're and where you are. So it's probably going to have like geotagging and other things that go along with it. It's kind of in the early stages of that now. I mean, people can say, "Well, I'm here," and tag their picture and stuff like that. But I think it's going to automatically do that, and it might also, if you have other friends and stuff like that, and you upload these things to your to your sites, I have a feeling it's also going to be able to auto-recognize people in the picture, like if you're just taking pictures with your friends. So I think it's going to try to help tell people where you are, and if they really like where you're at, they're going to be able to figure out, okay, this is at this beach, or this is at this restaurant, and this is here. And you might even be able to rate the place based upon your photo.
Yeah, I got to tell you, your Facebook already does a lot of that geotagging, correct, automatically. So it just seems like that would become built in the phone eventually.
I think so, yeah. I think it's going to be easier. I mean, right now, like if I take a picture and upload it to my Facebook, it'll tell me what city I'm in, but it really won't tell me where it's at unless I go in there and physically tag this picture at this location. But I think what it's going to do now, I think it might even be working off your GPS and finding out where you are exactly, the exact address, and uploading all that information. Now, that can be a little scary for people. I mean, I know that people's privacy is becoming a very top concern, especially with the way that these social media outlets are using the information, and you really have to turn off stuff. But I think it's inevitable, and I think it's just a matter of time before it happens automatically.
Yep, absolutely. Learning more from Jason Dowd. Jason, are you figuring out how to become, you're a photographer by profession, but are you becoming a freelance photographer for some of these news sites as well?
I have done stuff in the past. I haven't really focused on it that much. I've been kind of working on just my own artwork, but what I try to do, I kind of incorporate that into my artwork, because what I like to do is go to places that are either historic or have some type of history behind it, and preserve that in the photos. And I try to tell people where I took the pictures at, so they can go and experience these things too. I don't always look for the most beautiful places on earth. I sometimes look for the things that are forgotten and run down, because there's still beauty in it. You just have to see it.
Yeah, absolutely, and I think it's fantastic that it's becoming easier and easier to do this. And do you eventually see them coming up with more add-ons for your cell phone to treat it more like a camera? I mean, you mentioned one, the idea of geotagging, but like, for example, I don't think my phone has a tripod link on it. No, it doesn't. I mean, I can envision my Galaxy 5 having a tripod connector.
I wouldn't doubt that at all, especially since now that movies are becoming more popular on your phone. You can easily upload them to like YouTube and other places like that. So I would see something like that happening. But I also see that there's a lot more apps coming out. I've actually tried a couple of them, and some of them are really neat. That they don't do everything like a Photoshop can do, but you can remove your red eyes. You can actually make panoramic pictures. You can do all kinds of stuff through stitching and have filters. And it's not, like I said, it's not going to be the most intense thing. It's going to give you something close to what you would be able to do on Photoshop, but it allows you to get a little bit more creative with your photos and post them for people to see.
Yeah, very cool stuff. Jason, appreciate you being with us. Jason Dowd. What's your website before we let you go?
DowdStudios.com, DowdStudios.com.
Thanks so much. When we come back, we're going to have much more for you. I do want to remind you the best content here shows up over there at usdailyreview.com. While there, like it on Facebook, follow it on Twitter.